Yes, people, this is your girl Aleisha Lee, and welcome back to another episode of Motivational Lee. On this week's episode, we are going to be talking about intrinsic motivation. But before we get into all of that, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you are kept up to date each and every time I upload. And without further ado, let's get into this. Over the past couple of weeks, we have been talking about motivation. Part 1 was all about what motivation is. Part 2 was about the different types of motivation, specifically extrinsic motivation. And this week's episode is all about intrinsic motivation. As described on the Very Well Mind website, intrinsic motivation refers to behavior that is driven by internal rewards. In other words, the motivation to engage in a behavior arises from within the individual because it is naturally satisfying to you. So if you remember what we were talking about last week with extrinsic motivation, those are basically behavior that is driven by external factors. For example, if you have a job and you get paid to do that job, the extrinsic motivation is the pay that you're going to get from that job. It might be a job that you don't necessarily enjoy. It might even be a job that you yourself, you do not want to do, but because you know that there are monetary advantages at the end of doing said job, you do it. Whereas intrinsic motivation is a bit different. You are not motivated by external factors. You are actually motivated by you wanting to do that job. So if we use the same example again, it may be that you do a voluntary job, so you don't get any monetary pay at the end of it. But because this is something you want to do, you believe in this job, you believe that doing this job will make you feel better, you do the job. That's the difference between intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Think of extrinsic as external motivators that are outside of yourself, whereas intrinsic motivations are independent of any external factors. It's all to do with you, what you want to do, and how you feel about doing it. So this is how intrinsic motivation contrasts with extrinsic motivation. Because with intrinsic motivation, you are doing and engaging in this behavior purely because it is rewarding for you. You're not getting any external rewards from it. You aren't getting any other praise from it. It's simply you doing it for you. So this is another thing that will help you in deciding what is your motivation when it comes to doing certain things. Are you doing it for yourself, or are you doing it because you want to get some sort of external reward or praise? Or is it just completely down to you? You're doing this because you want to do it, you have to do it, and there aren't any external motivators that are forcing you to do this. The article goes on to discuss the power of internal satisfaction, and I think that this is something that is definitely important, especially when pursuing your goals. I think that it's much easier, obviously, when you are wanting to do something, you will do it more. You're going to have more motivation to do it, as opposed to being forced or having somebody else telling you this is something that you have to do. If it's something that's inside of you and something that you want to do, this is more likely to come from a more intrinsic motivational place. So the article goes on to detail about a few factors that are identified as increasing intrinsic motivation. These include challenge. When people are challenged and they want to pursue their goals, they have a personal meaning when there's a bit more of a challenge to it. You have a bit more sense of accomplishment once you have completed it, knowing how challenging it was, but still knowing that you got through it and made it to the other side. Control. People want control over themselves and their environment. That's something that is intrinsically motivating them. Cooperation and competition is another intrinsic motivation that can be increased in situations, and this is where people gain satisfaction from helping others. Another one is curiosity, internal motivation, which is increased by curiosity, wanting to know a bit more information. It also occurs when the activity stimulates the person that wants to learn more. Another name for that is cognitive curiosity. And the final one is recognition. People enjoy having their accomplishment recognized by others, which can increase internal motivation. So even there you can see that there is a few extrinsic elements that can still increase your intrinsic motivation. So for me, the two are linked hand in hand, because although you do have extrinsic motivators, I still do believe somewhere inside of that there has to be an intrinsic motivator still in order for you to even want to do that. Basically what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, no matter what motivates you, it's still your decision. It's still going to be you that needs to complete the action to do whatever you want to do, and whatever your motivators are, it will still boil down to you getting up, doing what you need to do. So these are a few things when it comes down to intrinsic motivation. Once you have an idea of these concepts about extrinsic motivation, intrinsic motivation, you're then able to know exactly why you're doing what you're doing, and you're able to be more intentional going forward with your decisions. If you know that this is something that you want to do, then you know that it is intrinsically motivated, and you know that you don't really need other external factors to push you in order to do that. Because it's something you want to do, you should have that drive in you to just start doing the first moves, get the first steps going. Whereas if you're extrinsically motivated, it could be worth you having a look at the things that do extrinsically motivate you and see if you are still in that place, or if there's other things that you think might be more rewarding in order for you to be motivated to do what you want to do. So have a think about these things. I thought it was a very interesting concept in regards to the whole motivation aspect of it, and also learning about the different types of motivation, whether it be extrinsic or intrinsic, and how in our everyday lives we use these different types of motivators to push us towards our goals. But yes guys, that was it for this video. I hope you have enjoyed, and I hope that has given you a bit more detail about intrinsic motivation, how to increase those factors as well, and what intrinsically motivates you. Why do you do what you do? Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about intrinsic motivation. What are your intrinsic motivators? Make sure you hit the like button, share, hit the notification bell so you are kept up to date each and every time I upload. And yes people, I hope you have a great week. It is going to be April this week. The 1st of April is going to be a new month, ready for new moves. And look out this week for another Motivational Lee bonus, which is just going to be getting us ready for the new month. But yes people, have a good one. Catch you in my next video. Done now, boy.